A beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to ZAR Midday News. My name is Humul Kusum Al Hassan. Coming up are the news headlines. Activities of Tamale Metropolis Assembly risk halting activities of Assembly members' inability to elect presiding member portal and app for easy filing of tax returns, and Zimbabwe interest rate at all-time high as Russia-Ukraine war forces policy measures. To our first news bulletin, activities of Tamale Metropolitan Assembly risk halting following the Assembly's member inability to elect presiding member for the second time on March 30th, 2022. The 59 out of 60 elected Assembly member present failed to elect members. Assembly member for Nakpan Zoo electoral area, Mohamed Alassan, and government appointee Mohamed Rashid Abdullahi Yamani contested for the position but failed to secure 2/3 majority to become the presiding member. The Assembly's standing orders required that another meeting be reconvened within 10 days for another election. But when the meeting was reconvened today, the two candidates stepped down, but the House could not reach a consensus on who to preside over the Assembly's deliberations. The election has taken an entrenched partisan position by the opposition NDC sympathizers on the other hand, and the governing New Patriotic Party sympathizers on the other hand. The stance by both could lead to the suspension of the Assembly and the President. The mayor has maintained his party position, whilst the opposition NDC sympathizers also vow not to allow the few NPP sympathizers' decision to pretend theirs. And now the Ghana Revenue Authority has launched the Taxpayers Portal and app. According to the GRA, the portal makes it easier and more convenient for taxpayers to file their returns, initiate payments, and access tax-related services. A tax return is an official statement of information or a document taxpayers are required by law to accurately complete and submit to GRA on or before their respective due dates. The tax returns provide details of taxpayers such as their name, TIN number, current tax office, and the period for which the return type. Return has specific requirements relevant to the tax type. These include taxpayers' taxable income, allowance deductions, rate of tax, tax payable, among others, for a particular tax period. Issues tax returns forms to help taxpayers provide the required information with ease. Now to our international stories for today. South Africa on Tuesday ended its national state of disaster, the legal framework used for 2 years to impose restrictions to combat the pandemic. South African sports fans can now enjoy at the stadium in large numbers to watch soccer, rugby, cricket, and in 72 hours. Most restrictions would be lifted, but people will be required to wear masks in indoor public spaces. International travelers must provide proof of vaccination or a negative PCR test done within 72 hours. The government used the state of disaster to impose some of the world's toughest COVID-19 restrictions, including bans on the sales of alcohol and cigarettes and a night curfew. South Africa, with has been hardest hit by the virus in the continent. More than 100,000 people have died from the disease in the country, which has recorded more than 3.7 million infections since 2020. These official figures are widely believed to be considerably less than the actual numbers, as many cases of the disease have not been recorded, according to health experts. And now Zimbabwe's central bank has raised its main policy rate from 60% to a record of 80% in an attempt to contain inflation. The interest rate is currently the highest in the world and an all-time record of the South African country, according to the financial agency Bloomberg. The country's runaway inflation, fueled by the war in Ukraine and soaring commodity prices, reached 72.7% in March, up from 66.11% a month earlier. In a statement on Monday, the Southern African nation central bank said rising oil, gas, and fertilizer prices were inevitably having a negative impact on production costs and destabilizing the foreign exchange market. Zimbabwe's economy has been in deep crisis for more than 20 years, with international donors withdrawing because of unsustainable debt. The rise in the price of basic commodities has recently been aggravated by the conflict in Ukraine, while Russia is the country's main supplier of wheat. Now, a quick recap of our headlines. Activities of Tamale Metropolis Assembly risks halting following Assembly members' inability to elect presiding member for GRA, launches taxpayers portal and app, and Zimbabwe interest rate at all-time high as Russia-Ukraine war forces policy measures. Then today we draw our curtains